Here we go, Ace Sigma. Let's see. We could try a Sicilian here. I haven't played one for a bit. And, well, let's go for a classical. Okay, an unusual response. B3. So bishop on that diagonal. Looks out at the king side. It's sort of inhibiting me from playing a dragon. He doesn't want me to play a dragon. Looks like it's some kind of closed setup here. I'm going to develop my knight here. That's probably where it wants to go anyway. And watch how he develops. Yeah, he puts his bishop there. So let's change the character then. This is not really going to be a Sicilian type of position. I'm just going to block that bishop and develop normally, I guess. Knight to f6, and this will be a problem bishop, my dark squared bishop by the king here. I'll have to deal with that at some point, but it's not an immediate problem, right? I think maybe even a fianchetto is a good idea. I could turn this into kind of a King's Indian type of position. Yeah, bishop here, castle, move the knight, push the f-pawn, that kind of thing. You know, in these slow games, you have time to maneuver. This is slow because, well, up until now, there were no pawn exchanges and no direct conflicts in the center. So he decided he didn't like that slow character. He's going to actively try and open up the center. So I can take either the knight or the pawn, or I could ignore it. I'm kind of inclined to ignore it. If I just castle, he takes, I take with the knight, he takes, I take, he takes. Yeah, it loses a pawn if I don't take. Or I could reinforce the center. Like this, so that I don't lose a pawn. But maybe that loses the d-pawn, actually, now that I think of it. Yeah, if he had taken, how would I take back? And then this queen is looking at the d-pawn. But he didn't go that way. He went for a closed center. So I could, no, I can't play there. I was going to say knight here because it's defended by the bishop, but that's not a move. Knight here hitting his bishop. But where does my knight go? Oh, where does his bishop go? His bishop has no way to escape it. Yeah, so I can move the knight here and trade it off for his bishop. It's going to be, it looks like a little crowded for me, so I want to get rid of some of my minor pieces. That's not like the world's best bishop. You can see it has only 2 squares, but still, I managed to get rid of this knight here. And that'll solve some of the cramped nature of my position, I think. Okay, so let's go ahead and take now. He could have considered taking here, right? Because he's hitting the rook, but he just took back there. So now I need to defend the that d-pawn. Let's see, let's stop his knight from coming in here and piling up on the d-pawn. I can also place my knight back to e8. I mean, I think maybe I'll do that. Knight e8 defends the d-pawn and prepares f4, and I will try and turn my my light squared bishop into a better piece. Also, maybe helps out my dark squared bishop too if I get an f5 here. So, yeah, if I can open things up for my bishop here, then I think I am doing okay here. In spite of White's greater space in the center. So I think he kind of misplayed that a little bit. And I could start putting pressure on this pawn, but probably rook to c8 here is a good idea. Pinning that knight and threatening this pawn to come forward. Okay, so he moved the queen immediately. That unpens the knight, and which I haven't yet penned, but putting the rook on the c file is pretty logical still. Yeah, let's go. Because this diagonal is also looking pretty powerful. It's like this pawn push will come with a threat of attacking the knight and also the rook. Okay, so now he's defended things. So I could start getting my knight into the game here, I guess. So I wonder if there's b5, b4 as an idea. I need to get another piece behind the b pawn, or some other piece looking at b4. And there's queen a5 hitting the knight and the bishop. The bishop can drop back and defend the knight. I'm not sure what he's doing with this knight that he retreated to h2. Maybe he should bring that out to f3 or something. I think it's safe to do that now, but he will have to move it again if I just push on with e4. Okay, so he pushed the f-pawn forward. Well, that supports knight to g4. He really wants that knight to go there, I guess. There's a check here. So this gives me the idea of queen here check followed by a pawn push, right? It's kind of a 1-2, and then the pawn push will fork those two pieces. So getting the queen on the b file with tempo. So white needs to do something about the arrangement of his pieces here. And anyway, chasing the knight away is probably good. If I can remove one of the defenders of his d pawn here, maybe I can actually win that. So we move the knight. Let's see, I can go here check anyway. I didn't want him taking the rook and dragging my queen away from defense of the d pawn. And can I pile up? I can push his pawn back. I mean, I can push his... no, I can't do that. Maybe here, a5 preparing b4. The queen, when the knight moved, the queen, it opened up the view of the queen on the on the b4 square, so I couldn't just push the pawn to b4. But let's see, if I kick the bishop back, then I can bring my queen forward, and that'll be another piece attacking this pawn. I might actually be able to think about winning that pawn. So he strikes first, kicking my bishop. Let's think about this. He can advance his pawn to all the way to g5, hitting my knight. The knight has some good squares to go to. So where is the bishop going? Here, 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 and here, all pretty well out. So, well, this is a natural move anyway, dropping back here. Maybe the only safe move. So anyway. Yeah, if he had a way of ganging up on my d-pawn, it'd be a problem, but I don't see how he can do it at this moment. But yeah, this d-pawn is clearly the weak spot in my position here. But how does he meet this plan of, okay, trades rooks? That's a start. how does he meet the plan of b4 and queen to b5, just doubling up on the on his d pawn here, and then even rook to queen to b5, rook to c5. I'll have 3 pieces on it, and I think he can only get 2 pieces on it. His knight can't really, after I play b5, his knight can't go to a square that attacks that pawn. He could push f5 right away. Yeah, that's what he does. Okay, because that gives him a square for the knight. Okay, but let's start by playing here. Kick that bishop back. He gave up the e4 square, so I can play knight e4 hitting his queen, if that's useful. Okay, so if I play rook to b c5, and he takes the pawn, and then I play rook takes, pawn hitting the queen, then I can get the pawn back, right? He has to move the queen. And I take, he's got the bishop on the pawn. Not at all clear. See, if I play pawn takes pawn, he can take back with the knight, and that defends his his d pawn. But pawn takes pawn, knight takes, rook c5. Maybe I'm threatening queen c7 and invading with the rook. He can exchange out my knight with his bishop. Let's see, if I take and he takes, and then I play knight here hitting the queen. Queen moves and I take the bishop. It's complicated, huh? Okay, so let's look at rook c5 again. Rook c5, he takes. I take. He moves the queen, and I take that pawn. I guess that's the most attractive looking proposition, even though it leaves me kind of vulnerable here. But I wanted to get rid of that thorn in my side, that nasty pawn on d5 there is annoying. And maybe that open diagonal towards his king will give me some tactical possibilities too. But my king position is open as well. This is the kind of position that's too complicated to calculate out in Blitz, at least for me. Yeah. Oh, he pins my rook. So I can take here with the knight. That also hits his queen. If he wants to maintain the pin, he has to move his queen back to f2 or someplace like that, and then I can play knight takes, pawn. Queen f2, knight takes f4. He has knight takes. I take with the pawn. He can take off the bishop. Take back with the king. And then he can take that pawn. And he's looking at this pawn. See, how does he take that? He takes it with the rook, and my rook is still pinned. Well, I can unpin by moving the rook to b5 or to c6, so the pin is not too big a deal. Okay, well, he's getting into trouble. It is a complicated position, so but his time is now starting to get low. I don't see any killer tactical blow. I think he just needs to retreat. But I don't see a problem with queen to f2 either. Maybe rook here, rook to c7. My queen is momentarily defended by the knight, so that allows me to unpin. He trades, and after the trade, I'm forking his two pieces here, right? Isn't that better? Isn't that better than just continuing to take here? And if I can just trade a few things off and then grab another pawn, that should be a winning endgame too. So I'm not so worried about the queen trade. Like if he saves his bishop, he could move his bishop to save it. He went for the queen trade. Okay. And now he's got two pieces hanging. He's got the bishop and the knight. So I thought this would just be winning. Yeah, pretty nice game. Let's see. Well, nice game unless he has some clever move right here. But anyway, that was interesting. And yep, he's running out of time here. But yeah, I don't see a solution either. Okay, won that one. Well, I'll upload this and do a postmortem. See you guys later. Bye.